Hello, everyone, and welcome to cEDH TV. Today, I am, as always, joined by Mons, Pontus, and RHETORIC. Today, we're playing cEDH with one caveat. We're not going to be attempting to restart the game. So what's going on with you guys?
I'm not making any money either on this book, but I did publish it and it's open access. So I talked about this a couple of videos ago. It's my new book, Living Digital Media, and grateful to Mons for letting me just talk about it for a moment. But free and open access, it's got a ton of video and other media you can find in it, and you can just find it in the link below. Hope you enjoy it. Any and all comments are most welcome. And back to Magic. Today I am playing Dark Malcome or Malcome and Volum Smasher. This deck really doesn't like casting Volum Smasher, but knowing me, I probably will try to if I find I'm just struggling. But we're using a Grixis package post ban to see what we can do to generate infinite mana with things like Lion's Eye Diamond, but we also have Demonic Consultation, Fast Sword, other things you can expect from a Grixis package.
I'm a lazy so I picked a top 4 list from the most recent EU Championship tournament. Played Kinnan before, so I don't need to think about it. Let's go.
So today I'm bringing the new mizzet. It's basically a version of an old deck that was really popular in Stockholm when I started playing, which is Curiosity Storm, because mizzet is like a mega curiosity, so we just run a bunch of pingers and try to storm off with mizzet and those pingers.
So I'm playing Tinybones. I really liked this commander. Last time I played it, it had a fun, interesting playing experience. I don't honestly think it's that great because it is a little bit tricky to puzzling together a victory with this, as what you're going to be stealing is going to be random, and as you're primarily taking your opponent's cards and not digging on your own deck, it can be a little bit tricky to puzzle together a combo. But the playing experience and how it operates and like the control steal game plan is kind of fun. So I want to give it a swing again. So this first opener is honestly okay, but I'm not excited about it. It has lands and it has mediocre cards. We should dig for something more explosive, so let's Mulligan, Ancient Tomb, Opposition Agent, Bloodgast, and an Animate Dead. I'm kinda excited. Opposition Agent against these guys. There's only one black opponent, which means tutors exist. But Izzet tutors aren't that many, Simic tutors aren't that many either. We are not gonna do anything with the Bloodgast and Animate Dead either in a while. So in the end, I'm gonna be greedy and Mulligan. An Urza Saga, Mox Amber, and Come Back Wrong. I don't think I wanna go lower than this, so we're gonna put the boots on the bottom of the library, and this should work out okay. Maybe I should keep the previous hand, but still, it's fine. Urza Saga might be able to dig into something cool, and we might steal something really awesome with a comeback wrong as well.
Our first 7 is interesting, but I think it's just gonna end up not being that great, because it's very reliant on just fish carrying in the game. Turn 1 fish in this pod, I think is pretty good. Kinnan is always like a 50-50. They either go very creature heavy or very rock heavy. I didn't look at his exact list, but I think since it was named Tempo, I expected it to be a bit more creature oriented. And I have a Grixis mono black, that's just artifact ramp. But Mons can also play some like creatures. So I think the payoff of this hand is just too bad to motivate it above just mulliganing, because it's basically just the fish that carries this whole hand. Like all other cards are like mid to good. Like Gamble, Tutor, both of those are like fine, but there's not really something I really want to get here. And we really want mana to get around the mizzet and or pingers. That also, so I think that's like this hand is just pretty mid. So let's just mulligan because it's the first 7. First full mull is basically free, right? And let's watch me get screwed by mulls. I think this hand is just good. We have ramp. We're a bit too far away from the Ristic study. Not far away. It's a turn to Ristic if we wanted to. I'd rather not tap Grim Monolith to cast a Ristic, but we have 2 draws to find something, or maybe just like find a Talisman to cast alongside the Ristic. And once the Ristic is down, we can like protect it with Mental Misstep. We have a random Krark. I'm not sure if Krark is even good in this deck. Feels like it might be, like once you're online, getting free spells back. Maybe it's just cope. I'm not sure. It's here, and I think this hand is just perfectly fine. We don't have that much tutors, so like getting turn to Ristic is still almost above rate for mulligans in this deck. And yeah, I'm gonna just be happy with that. So let's see if we draw something to make use of the Grim Monolith, or if we tap out completely for turn to Ristic. And if we don't, like, this is a turn 3 commander. I mean, if we get some more setup, we might just be able to storm turn 3. Let's see. Exciting. Keeping.
Probably slightly too slow. It's not even turn 2 Kinnan with a Guy's Cradle because we don't have any creatures. Mamber doesn't do anything without Kinnan out, so slightly too clunky. I don't think we have decks that are too fast that I need to worry about my Brick Trap in my starting hand, especially for a first 7, so we're gonna go again. And I don't think the Crop Rod is relevant here either, because we can only really get rid of the Grove or Cradle on turn 2. No real benefit there. This is turn 2 Kinnan with a Mox Amber. We're going to have to use either a Passaggio or an Otawara, which are nice tools here. Do have a Basalt Monolith as well that goes into a 1-ring, but we don't have an outlet for it. We also won't be able to get it down on turn 2 unless we draw something else. What does it look like otherwise? It would have to be... We don't get an activation for a while either, because there's not enough mana. Enduring Vitality does let Kinnan work as well, and itself, of course. Also doesn't come down turn 2. It would have to be turn 3, and we're going 3rd. I think we can find something that's more exciting. Like with this kind of hand, I would want like at least one piece of interaction on top if we're establishing stuff this slowly. I'll go for a 6. City of Brass into Land of War Elves into Sketchy with the Mox Diamond because we don't have a second land. Otherwise, we could get down Kinnan turn 1 or at least turn 2 with some extra mana to get the Felwar Stone going into something else. We can just hope that we get a land, but it's probably better to just... Yeah, I think we're gonna take a chance and keep this one. We want more. We want cards in hand as well. We don't want to go too low here. It's probably correct to go for 5 and just go for like a big, more consistent mana. But I think we're just gonna pray. Let's take the chance and keep this one. I'll bottom the Crop Rod here.
Let's take our first 7. I'm 4th, so I have Gemstone Caverns. I have Mox Diamond with Polluted Delta. I could Vamp Tutor even before my first turn. Grab something spicy. I mean, we have Windfall as well. If I can get Brain Freeze in the yard. I'm just trying to think of like ways to start chaining this stuff together. But again, having like a tutor that I could put on top, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. All right, I have a pregame. I'll put this Gemstone Caverns into play and exile this Pack Negation.
And then I start the game. I will draw a card for turn. I'm gonna play this Urza's Saga and a Mox Amber and pass.
Take my turn. I will start us off by casting a Gitaxian Probe targeting Snuske.
Pontus, is there anything you wanna reveal after looking at Snuske's hand? Does he win?
Let's just collectively pray for his good health. I'll then draw a card. With that said, I will play a Seat of the Synod. I'll then cast the Chromox. Imprint trigger, I will imprint the Krark. Tap 2 for a Grim Monolith. And then I pass the turn.
Alright, let's see this hand magically fix itself with this draw. Draw for turn. That's not bad. Play a City of Brass. Tap it for a Land of War Elves, losing 1. Then I will reveal to Pontus what I drew by casting this Mox Diamond, discarding a Verdant Catacombs. And then I will pass my turn.
In your end step, I'll tap black and cast Vampiric Tutor.
I will respond with a Mental Misstep, paying 2 life. I'm sorry.
Bye! Alright, take my turn. Land for turn is a City of Brass. Cast Mox Diamond. I'll pitch this Polluted Delta. It's all good. I'll take a damage. That Mox Diamond. Cast Malcolm Happy. And I definitely top decked that City of Brass, so pass turn.
Draw a card. I'm gonna play Urborg. So all lands now tap for black. And with that, we can cast Tinybones. Then I'm done with my turn. Go for it, Pontus.
Go to my turn. There's an interesting discussion here of how we play this hand. We have the option to just jam and mizzet, but it doesn't do anything right now. Combat damage doesn't draw any cards, and we don't have any spells that enables it. So mainly we just want to play Rhystic. Rhystic is what we want to do. So the problem becomes, how do we play Rhystic? Do we like go Rhystic into Snap the Filter? Do we just go Rhystic tapping out, keeping just colorless mana up? Are we afraid of dying? Do we like value Snap to bounce a Malcome, Tinybones, or like a Dork? So this gets a lot of mana on his turn. Especially if he draws a land, his 4 mana. I think RHETORIC kept the hand very reliant on having something available. Maybe he has like just Glinthorn and like kept the aggressive hand like that. I don't think we can count on it. He kept a 7, but also RHETORIC usually keeps 7, so I don't think that's not as big of an indicator as it could be otherwise. All this to say, I don't like it, but I think we just step out to cast a Rhystic here. I don't know why I talk this much. I'm sorry. I am shocking in a Steam Vents, taking 2, and then tapping 3 for a Rhystic Study.
I'll put a Bloom Tender on top.
Rhystic Study resolves, and I'll pass the turn.
Time to feed the Sisse out of this one. Alright, moving to my turn. I'm going to tap 2 for a Kinnan. I will not pay. Cast a Felwar Stone. You can draw. Alright, let's draw the Niv Mizzet. Player 1 more card for this Bloom Tender. But now I'm done. I will pass.
Go to my turn. Fun. Alright, let's do... I'm going to cast Curiosity on... You know what? what? Nah, go for it. Combat. Bonk. Mons.
I take 2.
I make a treasure and draw a card. So I take a damage from City of Brass. And controversial, but hey, that's what I'm here for. Windfall.
I pass. I pass.
I cannot pay for Ristic.
I'm a bit spicy. I'll draw. Then I pass on Windfall.
Alright. Windfall resolves. Pontus has 7 cards in hand. We will discard. I have 2.
What? I get them all. Gift cards.
Second main. We'll do a Blood Crypt, taking 2 damage. Play Lotus Petal, not paying for Ristic. We'll tap Blood Crypt, cast Mana Vault, not paying for Ristic. Pass turn.
I'm gonna draw a card. I'm gonna play this basic swamp that is snow covered. This Urza Saga will also go to max, so we'll tap it for a colorless. Actually, no. We are going to make a construct with it, and then this thing will go away. Urza Saga will find a Soul Ring. I'm gonna play my Mox Opal, floating 1 colorless, tapping the Soul Ring, and then I'm gonna cast Pontus, Mox Diamond, pitching this land here, and using the last floating mana from Soul Ring to pay for both Ristic Study triggers. Then we're going to cast Pontus Izzet Signet and paying for Ristic Study as well. Construct is a 6/6. And here I punch Pontus for 1.
No blocks. I die emotionally, but I'm fine in game.
Pass.
Go to my turn. Land for turn would be a Scalding Tarn, which I will fetch. Then I will tap 4, 5, 6 to cast my commander, Niv Mizzet the Visionary. With Niv Mizzet in play, I will cast a Mox Opal, exile a Simian Spirit Guide to tap 2 more, and cast a Seething Song. I'll make 5 mana. I'll use 2 of them to cast a Firebrand Archer.
No, he had it.
Firebrand Archer resolves. I will use 2 of my red floating to cast a Desperate Ritual, trigger Firebrand Archer. Firebrand Archer will deal 1 damage to each of my opponents. That'll trigger Niv Mizzet to draw 3. Draw 3 cards, then Desperate Ritual resolves, and I'll make 3 red, going up to 4. I'll use 1 of them to cast the Rite of Flame, triggering Firebrand Archer. I'll draw 3, and then make 2 red mana. I'll use 4 of my 5 mana to cast a Urabrask. Urabrask resolves. I will use my last floating red mana to cast a Bolt Wave. Trigger Urabrask, trigger Firebrand Archer, trigger Ristic.
I will pay with my floating pride.
Since when do you have pride? What?
Yeah, that's why it's floating.
I'll draw. In response to your misstep, I'll actually have to be kind of cringe and pact it. Trigger Urabrask, trigger Firebrand Archer. So first, I will deal 1 damage to Snuski because it started to misstep me with Urabrask. I make a red, draw a card. Then Firebrand Archer will deal 1 damage to each of my opponents. I'll draw 3 cards. And then Pact will resolve, countering the mental misstep. Then we're back to Urabrask triggers and Firebrand Archer on Bolt Weave. And the Urabrask trigger will target RHETORIC this time. So Urabrask resolves, I make a red to deal damage, I draw a card, and then I draw 3 from the Firebrand Archer. And then Bolt Weave does 3 damage to each of my opponents, and I draw 9. I will use a red mana to cast a Soul Ring, triggering Firebrand Archer. I will deal 1 damage to each of my opponents, and I'll draw 3. So with the Soul Ring in play, I'll tap 2 to cast a Ruby Medallion. Trigger Firebrand Archer, I'll deal 1 damage to each of my opponents and draw 3. I'll use my red mana floating to cast a Pyretic Ritual. Trigger Urabrask to trigger Firebrand Archer. Urabrask will deal 1 damage to mons, and Firebrand Archer will deal 1 damage to each of my opponents. I'll draw 4 and make 4 red. I'll use 1 of my floating red to cast a Runaway Steamkin. I'll then use 2 mana to cast my Sticker Goblin, trigger Runaway Steamkin, put a counter on it. Sticker Goblin with ETB, my high sticker makes 5 red, so I'll make 5 red, go up to 6 total. I will use 3 of them to casting a Jessica's Will both modes targeting Snuskia. Triggering Urabrask, triggering Firebrand Archer, deal 1 damage to mons, 1 damage to each opponent, draw 4. Then Jessica's Will resolves, make 7 mana, go up to 9, and exile top 3 cards, which is a Final Fortune, a Born Upon the Wind, and a Lotus Petal. I'll then use a red to cast a Strike Kit Rich, trigger Urabrask, trigger Firebrand Archer, deal 1 damage to mons, deal 1 damage to each of my opponents, draw 4, make a red, and make a treasure. I'll then cast a Gamble for a red, trigger Urabrask, trigger Firebrand Archer, deal 1 damage to mons, deal 1 damage to each of my opponents, draw 4, and then Gamble. I'll find this red Elemental Blast and discard a card randomly, discarding a Valakut's Awakening. The card is exiled to Tinybones. Mons may cast it if he survives. Put a counter on Runaway Steamkin, remove 3, and make 3 mana. Use 1 of them to cast the Red Blast targeting mine and Mizzet the Visionary. Trigger Urabrask, trigger Firebrand Archer. I will ping Snuskia for 1 and each opponent for 1. I draw 4, and the Mizzet is killed. Then I'll use 3 red mana to cast a funny card, which is this Ogre Axoni, Deepest Might. So Ogre is kind of interesting that he has, if red source you control will deal damage, would deal damage to that. It's a really worded. Would deal an amount of non-combat damage less than his power to an opponent. That source deals damage equal to its power instead. So now each of my pings deal 4 damage. But instead of just pinging, I will use the red mana to cast a Grape Shot. Storm count is 17. So I would like to deal... I'm not targeting myself. I would like to target 17 divided by 3 is 5 copies at each player and 1 extra at Mons. Also Fire Archer will trigger and Urbask will trigger. The Urbask trigger will be at Snuske and this will kill the table. Good game. Then this is really cool. Goldfished him a bit. I always just get to the point where I draw 12 and then I stop goldfishing because it becomes annoying to play out. Here, I actually needed to play it out, so I had to think some, because like it's really easy to just kill yourself by killing your opponents, especially if you do like 4 damage to each opponent in increments of 1 at a time. But once you go off hard, and it's a real fun deck to play. And I kind of missed this playstyle from back in the days where Curiosity Storm was popular in Stockholm. And I think this deck is just better than it was back then. Not just because of power creep, but because the commander is like way stronger than a random Curiosity effect on the creature.
I think a big thing is that the old Curiosity Storm was a 2-card combo. This is basically a 1-card combo with variants. Like you just need to draw into one of your pingers, where Curiosity needs to draw into one of the Curiosity effects and then one of the pingers. Now sure, you have a multitude of both variations, so you can just puzzle together different ones of them. So but it's still a 2-card combo, and a 1-card Firebrand Archer together with your commander is pretty good.
Yeah, and another 1-card combo with my commander that I didn't get to show off, which is really spicy because I don't even know how it would play out, is Wheel of Misfortune. That's a really interesting interaction, because if your opponent chooses to take damage, you draw that many cards, because it's actually damage.
Unless we all pay the same life, then you die.
So if like me, Rhetoric and Snuske goes, let's pay, how much do we need?
Like 30?
Yeah, 30
Depends
life.
on my card size.
I don't think we need to pay 30 because that's like 90 cards. We can pay like 27. That would still kill you.
Yeah, so maybe that's not a good card then. But it's really funny.
I guess it's gonna be hard to convince people to keep you alive too, as you're going to draw like... I mean, even if everyone pays 0 because they want to keep their life, you're still paying 3 mana to draw 7 cards alone, where everyone else does nothing. That's pretty amazing.
Not really. The thing with that is you would have to do it as the first card, because if you have any kind of manipulative strategy going on, you're always going to have more than 7 cards. So you would almost always be losing out if your opponents choose 0. So that's probably the correct way to deal with it.
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, if we pay a high amount of life, if his life is already kind of low, if he's at like 20 and we're at 30, we can just openly say, let's pay 25. What's he going to do about it? And then die.
That's funny.
One thing about this commander I didn't think about in advance, though, is the fact that, as I said, it can be hard to kill without killing yourself. And there's actually not that many ways to kill my commander in the deck. There's like the Blasts, Snap, Submerge if it's live, Ottavara, and...
Chain of Vapor?
I don't think actually... I think I've missed Chain of Vapor.
Here's the thing, Pontus, that you don't actually need that many, because once you start to like draw your deck, you're going to draw into one of them at the very least. So you should be fine, even though you have like 5.
No, I agree. I just want to tell people how finicky it is, because I didn't realize myself.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.